Chakra meditation has become a staple of New Age superficial understanding of Eastern mysticism. They go on talking about how crystals can activate or cleanse your chakras. Most of these ideas come from a very immature understanding of people who do not practice it themselves or by those who just want to make money, claiming that they can raise your Kundalini within days. Well, let me disappoint you, that's just not how it works. While there are definitely methods of raising the Kundalini, it takes lifetimes of sincere effort. Not to mention there are serious dangers of this practice. If you're not psychologically strong enough, it's possible you might hallucinate, become quick to anger, or even total madness is possible. This is not vipassana, so approach with caution. I suggest you practice normal breathing exercise, of watching your breath as they come in and go out, before you begin Kundalini Tantra. I also highly recommend you read Kundalini Tantra by Satyananda Saraswati for a detailed description of all the chakras, written by an authentic yogic teacher. A list of books is given in the description. A serious practitioner must be knowledgeable, especially if you're solitary. Normally a guru must teach you these things, but today it has become nearly impossible to find such a guru. Most are fake, and the information you find are flawed. So do your own extensive research before proceeding. Here I'll only discuss the practice of 3 chakras: root chakra, heart chakra, and the third eye. These 3 are crucial for tantric left-hand path practices. Each of them has a certain deity associated with them. It is not a must, but it'll increase the effectiveness of the practices. The gods are taken as symbols of power the chakra represent, not some beings who you're praying to for the activation of the chakras. See my video on deity meditation for further details. The archetypes I use are Tiamat or Leviathan for the root chakra, Lucifer for the heart chakra, Set for Ajna chakra. This is by no means fixed. You should choose your own gods that you feel connected to, but their characteristics must align with the energy of the chakra. I'll divide the video in 2 parts. In part 1 I'll discuss basic practice for the chakras, and in part 2, I'll discuss the lifestyle requirement for them. This is something most people miss. Simply meditating on the chakra does not work. You must live your day-to-day life while keeping the energies in mind. If you're a serious practitioner of the occult, then your whole life must become a ritual. Everything you do must be aligned with your practices. With that said, let's begin. Part 1. Muladhara or root chakra. Focus your attention on the perineum region and breathe. You may either visualize the sigil of Tiamat or a similar deity such as Leviathan, Apophis, or any deity that represent earth, stability, strength, sexuality, etc. This chakra is associated with the earth realm and being firmly rooted. If you can't decide on the archetype, simply visualize a dark red light and meditate on it. Sitting posture should be ideally siddhasana throughout the practice. Keep your right leg folded, heel pressed against the perineum, and the left leg is to be relaxed at front. This posture puts pressure on the Muladhara chakra, so it's helpful in all 3 meditation. If this is too hard for you, then just sit in relaxed position, keeping your back straight during the whole practice. Anahat or the heart chakra. Now bring your focus at the center of your chest, visualize a green light, and breathe. All breaths must be relaxed and deep. Ruling deity of this chakra is Lucifer. Now the name must immediately bring in the idea of the devil, but that is not so. Lucifer, in the left-hand path, is completely different from the Christian version of him. He represents love and guidance of heart. He's the inner North Star. He's the light bringer, who illuminates your path in your darkest hour. Heart chakra is most crucial, as it balances all other chakras. There are other methods of heart meditation, which I'll discuss in later videos. If heart chakra is not balanced, it may show you hallucinations, make you over-emotional and even delusional. Further discussion in part 2. Ajna chakra or the third eye. This is perhaps the most commonly meditated on chakra by yogis and all practitioner of occult. Tilt your head slightly backwards and focus your attention in the middle of your eyebrows, and then breathe. There's another method known as tratika, which you can do separately if you wish. Focus your attention on a steady flame of a candle for a few seconds, and then close your eyes. You'll still see the reflection of the flame in your mind. Keep the reflection fixed between your eyebrows. It'll move around if you move your eyeballs, so do not move them. Keep them fixed. This exercise should not be practiced more than 30 minutes. And remember, you do this meditation separately at another time. This is not part of the daily chakra meditation. For that, keep it simple. For all 3 chakras, just focus on breathing at the point. Either meditate on the sigils of your deities or in the colors. Maroon for root chakra, green for the heart, silver or bright red for the third eye. Meditate on each for 10 minutes. Once this part is finished, now you must focus on raising the Kundalini, the serpentine feminine energy residing at the back of our spine. This is the goddess energy revered by every non-Abrahamic cultures. From Ishtar of the Babylon, Freya of the Norse, Kali or Dugor of the Hindus, Wadjet of the Egyptian, they all represent the same energy. She's the feminine archetype of the world. Now for the method, focus your attention at the root chakra again and take a deep breathe in. While breathing in, visualize a light going up through your spine all the way to the third eye. Hold it a few seconds there and then release the breath. Do it for 5 to 10 minutes. This is the most basic meditation for converting sexual energy directly into spiritual power. You can also bring it to heart chakra if you feel that you're particularly strong at the heart center. You can practice it every time you feel a sexual urge. Over time, it'll be so easy that you can even do it inside a public transport. Observe the energy rising in the groin area and you can easily pull it up to the heart with regular practice. This is how we raise the sexual energy without any suppression, which turns people into hypocrites, rigid and delusional. Now comes the most important part of the practice. We practiced the first 3 parts for self-growth, but to what end? What is the most fundamental goal of all meditative practices? The goal is to become absolutely one with the abyss. The word abyss originally meant to be the void before the creation took place. It's completely neutral and immoral. It is endless pure consciousness. Only now the word has become negative because the mind, especially the Western mind, is obsessed with matter. The Christian and Islamic God is a God of creation, so a state of uncreation terrifies the conditioned mind of the West. But let me assure you that this endless darkness is brighter than a million suns. This primordial chaos is the source of all creation. It always existed and will always exist. I'm using these terms to make sure no image pops up in your head while hearing about it. I personally call it Amun. It is an Egyptian term that literally means that which is not or the invisible one. So what it represents is the absolute, formless reality, the underlying truth of all things. It is not a god or goddess. It is not even a thing. It is nothing yet everything. It is neither male nor female, yet it is both. And it is the source of absolute joy. The first part of the practice will roughly take 45 minutes. For the next 45 minutes, do absolutely nothing and just listen. Listen to any sound, any sensation in your body, and even your thoughts as they come and go. You must feel as if you're one with the whole existence and you're listening through your whole being. For your daily practice, the whole technique should last about 90 minutes. But the last part, you can do at any time. As this is the most important, and without it, no other meditation has any meaning. The whole point of meditation is to see the truth of the world and yourself exactly as it is, and that's what you're doing. You're being completely empty and just observing yourself and your surrounding without any judgment or prejudices. The first part of chakra breathing is where you concentrate on specific points. You expand. In the left-hand path, both are accepted. The truth of the endless is realized, and the sense of self remains perfectly intact. But this self is no longer the ego self created by our environment and belief systems. It is born of pure conscious understanding of what we truly are. Once we arrive at this state of being, we no longer need any doctrine to guide us. A simple affirmation method: before beginning your daily practice, or right after it, practice this short visualization technique that will definitely enhance your sadhana. It hardly takes 2 minutes, so you can also do this right before you go to bed. In fact, even if some days you can't sit, you should do this little practice. The technique is as follows: take a deep breath in, as much as you possibly can, and hold it in until you can't hold any longer. Recite your affirmation 3 times. Now breathe out completely. Release all the air in your lungs until there's nothing left, and then hold it as long as possible. While holding, you again recite your affirmation. Repeat this for 3 rounds. You can strengthen the visualization using a sigil or an archetype that represent the goal. Now, the affirmation must be something simple and in line with your daily practice. For example, I'm alone and I'm complete. You can use this affirmation. This is the entire goal of meditation. To be alone within yourself and be whole. We feel incomplete because of the separation between consciousness and energy. With this method, we unite the two. This inner sexual union is what Shivalinga represents, and is the goal of Tantra. And once we're one within ourselves, the need for others disappear. Of course we can still enjoy others' company, but the neediness is no longer there. Of course you can choose your own affirmation, but as I said, it has to be in line with the practice. You can't just sit at home and think you're getting rich. This isn't some magic trick. Visualization is a method to reset the mind into truly believing in something. Belief itself is power. There's no need to believe in a higher power. The belief alone is sufficient. Use it as a tool, not as a faith or a begging bowl to some god. Part 2. Now, let's discuss the lifestyle changes one must go through to fully awaken the chakras. Beginning with the root chakra, Muladhara chakra represent the earth, sexuality, and stability. So to fully awaken it, first you need financial stability. And I'm not talking about just getting a job. That might be a primary requirement, but you must be financially independent. It can be business, passive income, or anything else. Monetary stability is a must-have to have a firm root on the ground. Next would be sexual maturity. We must fully explore our sexual needs and live it as much as legally and safely possible. I said legally because you might have many desires which are socially unacceptable. But just because they're not socially accepted, doesn't mean they don't exist. They're very much real, and anything that is true cannot be shunned away. Of course we can't always live those desires, but we must at least acknowledge and accept them as it is. This is the key difference between mainstream religions and the left-hand path. Religions teach us to shun them away and think badly about ourselves for even thinking about such things. But that only creates guilt and frustration. Religions profit from our guilt, of course. The more guilty we are, the more we visit their holy places, and more money they make. But there's no place for guilt in the LHP. The world is to be seen exactly the way it is, free of guilt and pride. Since pride is opposite of guilt. People in the West talk much about gay pride these days. It's a big issue there. But what's there to be proud of being gay? You are what you are. No reason to be either proud or guilty. Simply accept it. Like this, we must understand all our darkness, be it sexual or even violent wishes. Next is heart chakra. Heart is the universal receiver. When we learn to understand the perspective of others, then we open up. It is not necessary to practice what they're doing, or even like what they're doing. But you can still accept them. We all live many incarnations, and all are at a certain point of journey. When we truly understand this truth, we open up to the world. Heart also means feeling, more than analyzing. A simple meditation is moving headlessly. When you meditate, feel as if you've no head. Focus at the center of your chest. No symbol is needed. Just completely relax and have a gentle awareness at your heart center. You can meditate like this as long as you want and even do everyday things. Heart has its own way of seeing, and when we see through our heart, half the problems in our lives disappear. Life is actually quite simple. The mind makes it complicated. Because complicated stuff feeds the ego. That's why you'll often find people with high IQ extremely egotistic. They take great pride in solving problems. But why would you create problem in the first place? We can simply leave things as it is. If problem find its way to us, then obviously we'll face it, but don't go around poking your nose everywhere to seek out new struggles. This is why you must separate intellect and wisdom. Intellect is solving issues. Wisdom is not creating one to begin with. It also transforms sexual energy into love, which is essential in spiritual path. This doesn't mean sexuality disappear altogether. Quite the contrary. We can enjoy it when we want, but it no longer controls us. With this energy transformed, we also learn to understand other people's feelings, so we will not force our way into someone else's personal space. So many say that Indians completely lack civic sense and do not respect other people's privacy. This is because our so-called spiritual gurus taught us to suppress sexuality and aim higher. But with the suppression of sexuality, love also became suppressed. And that's why they don't understand the perspective of others. This is inevitable. Trying to fly without learning to stand will have serious consequences. Now for the third eye, it represents spiritual understanding and observing one's own nature, that is, one's mind. So for this chakra, we must read spiritual texts from different cultures and understand the work of energy within our body. And a continuous self-observation is irreplaceable. When this chakra is meditated on for the first time, it usually creates headache. Your body may also heat up and you'll feel feverish. But it'll not show in the thermometer. There's nothing to be worried about here. It's just temporary. We all have hundreds of blockages in our system through which the energy flows. That's why the heat is produced, because the flow is not smooth. These blockages open up as we progress on the path. Especially sexual blockages are hard to open. But once they do, you'll feel a gentle coolness at your forehead. And at last, for our moon itself, there's no specific practice. We must learn to see everybody from a neutral perspective, trying as much as possible to get a top view of any situation. Not attaching ourselves with any person, country, or ideology is true spiritual practice. This will not happen in a day. Only after years of serious practice may it be possible. Now, you must understand that each chakra has a, let's call it, reverse side. When a chakra is suppressed or perverted, they cause harm. A person with imbalanced root chakra may become a sex addict, violent, or both. When the third eye is imbalanced, it may give you mystic powers, but you'll use it in ways not aligned with the main goal of mysticism. It may even cause one to become psychotic. When we see things we're not ready to see, we might lose our sanity. But the most destructive of all is an imbalanced heart chakra. And that's because it can be easily manipulated by others. All these religious zealots, blowing themselves up in the name of religion, or doing all sorts of mindless stuff for their religion, are all because of an imbalanced heart. Just like a strong heart creates love, a weak heart can create fear. And fear can be easily manipulated by those in the religious authority. Heart also makes people more emotional and less logical. Again, a fine tool of manipulation. So be very careful about this chakra. It can balance our whole being and make us strong beyond intellectual comprehension. But it can also make us puppets in the hands of religious gurus. Now to summarize, awakening chakras is a long and arduous process which may take years or even lifetimes. But it all in the end depends on our effort. The more dedicated we are, the faster we'll progress. The reward is far superior than any price we might have to pay. To begin with, it gives us a completely different meaning of self-worth. Normally we either look up to someone or we look down on others. We look up to people with high IQ, people with great skills, people with great wealth and so on. And we look down on anyone we deem inferior to ourselves. And so we live our whole life comparing with others. This completely disappears once we truly realize that the great void is present in us all equally. But it has to be a direct experience. Reading it somewhere or hearing it from others will not help. It has to be a personal gnosis. Above all, if you've an insatiable thirst to know the reality of this existence, if you want to know what it really means to be human with self-awareness, then and only then, can you walk this path seriously. All others will play with it a few days and then leave. Others will only study and become scholars. They've all the answers without knowing anything. Like you study about swimming but never actually got down to water. World is full of these armchair mystics. You should read as much as you can, but it should never, under any circumstances, be a replacement for your daily practice. Determination, devotion, and discipline. Never forget these 3 Ds. Determined to understand the nature of the world and yourself within this lifetime. Devotion to the path, the practice, and the knowledge. And above all, a disciplined practice that holds everything together.